It's Wednesday, March 18th, 8 in the morning. Hello, Professor Boomer here to answer your questions. Professor Boomer, how'd you get such a silly name? And that's a really interesting question. But I think the more pertinent question is, what's up with this statue behind me, and why is it going to disappear in 48 hours? That's an interesting question. This and 10 other statues in Denia alone will be set ablaze using pyrotechnics to celebrate St. Joseph. Over 400 of these are being built this year alone. This is called a falla. It is a statue that represents a tradition here in the Valencia region, of which Denia is part of, and it's part art exhibit, part political expression, and mostly it's a festival in celebration of St. Joseph. So in the mid-century, the craftsmen and tradesmen would put out all their leftover scrap to be burned during the solstice in a celebration for good fortune for the rest of the year. Not to let a good tradition go to waste, the church tied this into the celebration of Saint's Day, St. Joseph. So at some point, it became more than just burning scrap built by the craftsmen into more of a political statement. Spain went through the Civil War. It's a pretty tough war, and Franco was selected as a leader. He did many things to control rebellion, brought in people from the villages to live in the city so it could easily monitor them. Whenever there was any hint of rebellion, they would squash it. So what happened is, during these celebrations of the Fallas, they started putting on more political statements to let out some of the frustration that they were feeling. So these piles to be burned started having a political nature, satirical, complaining about things they didn't like, and then 48 hours they burned up and all the evidence was gone. So the Fallas are really a neighborhood thing. There are groups that work on it all year long. They get together about once a month, they throw parties, they fundraise, because these things are not cheap. The city helps with some of the money, but a lot of it comes from sponsorship or donations or these dinner parties. And it really is ties the neighborhoods together, the different barrios. They have celebrations. They vote to see which one's the best. They come up with a ranking. And in 48 hours, they burn it all up. Now, which one do they burn first? Well, the lowest in the ranking. Whoever's the best will be spared for the last moment. On the church side, they have a gathering of flowers and they have a procession. People dress up in costumes, period costumes. They have marching bands that go up and down the streets. Quite the festival. They have vendors selling foods and candies and balloons. And they have tents with tables set up for food for everybody to enjoy. It's just a really good time. Denia is near Valencia. It is in the Alicante region. And this kind of tradition is mostly in this area. Valencia is a pretty big city. It's the capital city of the area. And there are lots of people. You're not driving up and parking your car there. You're gonna have to park and walk a couple of miles just to get to it. That tradition sort of kept on and it became what it is today. With all these super flashy statues with colors, but they all have some kind of meaning, usually some kind of satirical, political meaning. Now, fireworks. It's a big part of this festival. They light these things up with fireworks. They shoot fireworks off all the time. Kids get little firework boxes with their name on it, which they hang around their necks, and they shoot fireworks off, throwing them at people passing by. Very much a culture shock if you're not used to that. This is definitely a town based on Darwin, natural selection. So this statue is going to be lit up with fireworks, be caught on fire, burned down to the ground, put out, and cleaned up the very next day, right next to these huge buildings. Now, when they do this, the firemen are there. They're constantly putting it down and controlling the flames so that it burns cleanly and doesn't cause any damage. So it's just a remarkable feat. And that's what Fallas are all about. Now, as for my name, well, I was born in 1965, so technically I'm a Gen X. But apparently Professor X's name has been taken. Thanks, Jean-Luc Picard. So I went with the next one, Professor Boomer. That's how I got my name. All right, I'll see you around this channel. If you like music and songwriting, check out my music, like and subscribe, and have a good year.